So the next thing we're going to be looking at is the principle of setting up a strong defensive structure prior to going onto the offense. So this is a very common mistake that I see a lot of people make when they're playing guard. So a perfect example of this is, let's say my opponent has pants grips and I have sleeve grips. Let's say my goal is to put my opponent into, say, a spider guard, so 2 feet on the biceps, and to attack from there. If my opponent starts to bullfight from here, and I haven't actually set my feet on the biceps, he's just going to pass straight away, and I'm not going to be able to frame because my hands are committed to the sleeves. I have no frames. Okay? All I have is basically some kind of pulling force mechanic to pull my opponent towards me, but I have no frame or any structure to push my opponent away, especially if both my hands are committed to the grips. So it's much safer to have our hands free, ready to frame, and then prioritizing getting our feet to the biceps first. Now, in case my opponent starts to try and pressure into me, I can push him away with my frames because I have my feet on the biceps and my hands ready and not committed to the grips. Then when I'm ready to establish a guard, then I'm going to look to make my grips. So always make sure when we're attacking and trying to establish a guard, we look at setting up a frame, a defensive structure, a structure where we can push our opponent away to keep them at bay and manage the distance before looking at getting some kind of structure to pull our opponent towards us. So another example that commonly happens is trying to set up some kind of submission without having our frames set up. So for example, I get a collar sleeve and I look to shoot a triangle straight away without frame.
An example in stand-up, because I think it's a great way to exemplify it. But usually, from a wrestling point of view, one of the first things that people will do is look for a shoulder post. Okay? If you post on the shoulder, it immediately blocks your opponent from attacking you, and it allows you then to start to find your range and set up your own attacks. Okay, so it's very rarely that you want to come in and try to pull or arm drag without first just finding your range, having a block, and then secondary, you can have something that starts to attack from there.
Another concept or a very common mistake that